Welcome back, everyone. This is part 2 of the King's Castle, King James along with Blair Chopin. And tonight we're breaking down the ultimate thrill ride known as WrestleMania, giving you our thoughts, as well as giving you the fallout. But now, we want to turn to the WWE Championship match between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton from SmackDown. And I honestly think this, to me, was probably one of the biggest surprises of the night as far as the outcome.
Yeah, me too.
Because I, for one, did not think they were going to give Randy Orton the title that early.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was one of the biggest surprises as far as outcome and as far as quality of match. I thought it was going to be the best match of the night. And honestly, I was kind of bored with it.
Why?
I thought it was...
Because of all those weird images of bugs in the middle of the ring?
Yeah, that's a good point. I just thought, well, that was kind of cool.
And if you didn't see it, go back and look at it on the WWE Network. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, that was kind of cool and everything. I just thought it kind of went overboard, and it was kind of gimmicky for WrestleMania.
Well, it was one of those Bray Wyatt mind games, so you knew that was going to happen eventually during the course of the match.
But, like, my question is Randy Orton has been at the same level for a while. He's been a solid wrestler. He hasn't really been a championship level guy outside of a few exceptions. At what point do you give that match to Bray and try to push Bray instead and see what you have with him?
See, here's the thing. I think one of the reasons people like John Cena and Randy Orton have stayed relevant for so long and keep winning championships is simply because they know how to keep reinventing themselves.
Right.
John Cena keeps coming up with new moves for his arsenal, whereas Randy Orton keeps changing his character.
But don't you think Cena's on a whole different plane of popularity than Randy Orton?
No, actually I think he and Randy Orton are about the same.
Wow.
Because they came up in the same time frame. However, I can tell you that the rivalry between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt is not over, and this is something I want to get your opinion on ever since Sunday. Because last Tuesday on SmackDown, Randy Orton kicked off the show and basically said that he was the one in control now. However, Bray Wyatt said that the era of Wyatt has only just begun, even though he's no longer the champion. So then he proceeds to challenge Randy Orton to what he calls a House of Horrors match. Now, I don't know what this entails, but knowing Bray Wyatt, it can't be anything good.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting.
So
I think that's the gimmick you want to play.
So what's he gonna do? Is he gonna place him in a jail cell and make him confront his worst fears or something? While beating the crap out of each other?
Well, part of the appeal of Wyatt's character is you just kind of don't know, right?
Right.
But you don't know, but you wouldn't be surprised by anything.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's definitely his kind of match.
It definitely creates a lot more suspense.
So there's two ways to go with that. You could either have Wyatt win the match in just this evil, diabolical way, and he has the title and he's torturing people in that same way, and someone's got to overcome his House of Horrors, or you make a hero out of Orton by getting him through that, and then you see what happens. I don't know which way they go, but I think it's a pretty interesting angle.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, or if the gimmick can continue. And I say that because, as I mentioned at the end of the last segment, we saw this past Monday night on Raw a new visit from an old friend, that being the chairman of the WWE, Mr. McMahon. And while Mr. McMahon named Kurt Angle the new general manager of Raw, as expected, he also announced a superstar shakeup that will take place next week. And that means SmackDown General Manager Daniel Bryan will be on Raw to scout the talent, and they will trade superstars between the two shows. So it's not going to be like a normal draft. So my question to you, Blair, is based on what you've seen over the past year, who do you think should go to SmackDown from Raw or vice versa?
Well,
and why?
I'm not familiar enough with the rosters to probably give you specifics, but I do know, based on what I've heard from you and other sources, why this is probably being done to enhance Raw.
Yeah.
Because Raw's kind of been fallen by that behind here to SmackDown, which I wouldn't expect at all, because Raw is Raw. But so, what do you think? Since it's being done probably to help Raw in the ratings, what do you think they need to do? What kind of guys do they need to get to help themselves?
Well, I'll tell you this. We know that obviously, since he's been on Raw, the Roman Reigns gimmick has really not been working, and I think they're trying to turn him into a heel because I don't know if you saw, but following the shock of the night when Reigns beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania, the next night on Raw, he comes out there and for 10 minutes you hear nothing but boos and negative chants.
For Reigns?
Yeah. And then all you hear Reigns say is, "This is my yard now." So, could that be a sign that maybe he wants to go to SmackDown to maybe build the heel gimmick a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know I honestly don't know what to do with Reigns. I always thought the best option for him was to make him a mega heel and just use that negative energy the fans have towards him and that belief that they have that Vince has always been the one pushing them and that they don't really have any control of the plot lines. Have Vince be his manager and just push that even more.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know if Raw or SmackDown is going to make a difference for him at this point.
But I've heard rumors.
Reaction.
Speaking of possible trades that are rumored, I've heard speculation that maybe Gallows and Anderson, along with Enzo and Kaz, could be going to SmackDown while AJ Styles comes to Raw. But we'll see how that goes.
Who do you think that's a better trade for?
Honestly, I think Raw needs someone like AJ Styles.
I agree.
Because, as you said, they've kind of been losing their edge ever since the draft last year. So it'll be interesting, although I admit they did pull out 3.76 million viewers this week, so that's a good sign. But I think the biggest surprise from WrestleMania for me was having Jim Ross back on call for the main event. How great was that?
It was great, but I thought it could have been better.
Why?
Because I just think it was kind of awkward having him and Cole, and they both were trying to do play-by-play, and they both didn't know when to talk or anything. And the chemistry...
Well, JR is Cole's mentor, so...
Yeah, but they were just kind of interrupting each other, and I don't blame them. They're both kind of trained to do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I think the move would have been, as cool as it was to see JR out there, and it was awesome to see him out there, I think the move would have been to have him and King do the main event.
Absolutely. That could have been huge.
The idea was great, but there was just kind of some overlap.
Absolutely. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, we've heard speculation that JR was not only invited back for WrestleMania, but he's also signed a new deal with WWE so that he'll be able to do more content for the WWE Network. So
that's good.
We'll see how that goes.
Was he not on a deal with the WWE previously?
Well, see, apparently the rumor is that he was fired from WWE in 2013 after failing to control a drunk Nature Boy Ric Flair at a press conference for 2K and the release of the 2K14 video game. So he's kind of been off the circuit for a while with the exception of his podcast. But it's great to see JR back, and we certainly wish him the best with what's to come next. But when we come back, we got to touch on the match between Lesnar and Goldberg for the Universal title. Plus, I have some exciting news about the WWE Network in the very near future, so stay right there.